I know I just posted a video about Freelee, but I was floored by this. So yeah, I just talked about Freelee and her sugar water addiction, I guess. Apparently she has been adding sugar to juices and stuff for a long time. I'm still shocked seeing her eat bread now. So at first I thought like bread. Is this gonna be like dates and bananas mashed up and formed into like a bread shape, like dehydrated or something, you know, or like buckwheat bread, which she actually does have a buckwheat bread recipe. It doesn't look great. I don't know. The middle looks super wet and goopy to me. But no, that is not what this person and other people who left similar comments are talking about. I forgot. I will make sure to mute the ASMR crunching sound for you guys.
Did you know that you don't have to buy bread from the supermarket anymore? You can make crusty artisan-style bread. This bread is going to be the tastiest bread you've ever had. Top it with some homemade jam, avo and olives, or my homemade human honey. Full recipe details in my Instagram subscription group, link in bio.
It does kill me that she has a subscription group for a bread recipe. There are so many free bread recipes online. It's just, what, flour and water and yeast, salt, sugar. In case you're still thinking like, no, it's not actual bread. She's not actually using flour, like wheat flour.
This is what I call my wild bug bread. It's the easiest sourdough recipe in history. Only 4 ingredients and tastes so good. Conventional bread yeast and ingredients is bloating. Not this one. It has good microbes that help your digestion. Add 1.5 teaspoons of salt and 1 tablespoon of sugar, 1.5 cups of gingerbug juice.
It's just a starter. It's just fermented ginger. I think it's usually used to make like soda, like a homemade soda. So it's used in place of a traditional sour bread starter.
Give it a stir and add that to 3 cups of organic white flour.
Organic white flour, like gluten flour. I thought she was gluten-free. She definitely still recommends gluten-free on her website, on her Raw Till 4 recommendations. I thought you claimed bread was wartime food before. For those unfamiliar, a few years ago, I think, Freelee reacted to one of my What I Eat in a Day videos. I think it was like a peanut butter sandwich, and she was calling it wartime food. It was either in that one or another one she called a waffle I had. She was like shocked I was eating a waffle.
Very, very wartime. She's prepping for World War III, it seems. Very old grains, sitting in a silo for years, right?
Anyway, she did respond to this comment saying this will only last a few days in your bunker. People weren't really having that. She makes it up as she goes. The truth is bread and oatmeal and other bunker food is perfectly fine, and the healthiest people in the world eat it in large quantities. And speaking of oatmeal, she does have an anti-oatmeal video.
Why are you still eating like you're in a famine? Oats were livestock feed for centuries until wartime, when food became scarce and humans turned to oats for survival. Don't start your day with starches if you want high energy and a flat, unbloated belly during the day. Oats are enzymatically dead, have no vitamin C, and are loaded with anti-nutrients that can block absorption of essential minerals like zinc, calcium, and iron. And they're as dry as a desert. Stop eating old, dead oatmeal and rancid nut butter for breakfast.
So yeah, she's still doing the dead thing. Food is dead or alive. That's a very raw food thing, you know, natural hygiene thing that I haven't heard in a long time, but I guess she believes in that. And the enzyme thing as well, which has also been debunked. Anyway, Freelee's main issue, I guess, with the oatmeal and with the store-bought bread, at least, it seems to be how long it lasts. Again, her comment, this will only last a few days in your bunker, you know. Maybe the preservatives, I was thinking, but oats don't have preservatives. Oats are dry, but like bread, store-bought or not, pretty dry. And you typically aren't eating oats dry, I should say, whereas bread you usually are. Maybe you put something on top, but oats you're adding water, milk to, you might be adding fruit to as well. But the silliest thing is that one of her favorite foods is also one of the longest lasting foods there is: sugar. Sugar basically lasts forever. So I truly don't know why she thinks homemade sourdough bread is fine, sugar is fine, but oats aren't? Store-bought bread is not? That seems a little insane, and this is something that people criticize her for often. She seems to change her mind, sometimes pretty drastically, without explaining why. I don't know. I think the most likely explanation is that she craved something other than fruit and sugar water. And bread, even though it is carbs, very, very different flavor-wise and even just how it feels to eat. There's no sort of fresh fruit or vegetable that has that sort of texture. Crunchy, but soft and more savory and yeasty. The simplest explanation is that she wanted something other than fruit and lettuce. Now, she is drinking sugar water. You would think if she wanted something else, she would maybe cut that out and just stick to fruits and stuff. I don't know, but based on my own experience when I used to eat this way, I mean, I never did the sugar water thing. I never thought adding sugar to fruits was good, but banana smoothies for breakfast with several bananas, absolutely. More fruit for lunch, absolutely. I talked in the last video, I think, I had crazy cravings for tomatoes. And then when I started eating more greens, I would have a giant salad at the end of the day, which was better, a huge improvement. But man, I craved that salad so much. I didn't realize how much food was dictating my life until I stopped doing that. And it was like, oh yeah, that's not normal. That's not normal to be so fixated on savory foods or any food. So that's my speculation. She just wanted something else in her diet and is now trying to justify it by saying, well, it's fresh. It's fresh bread. The other reason I wanted to make this video is because there's this interview she just did, My Raw Vegan Story, My High Sugar Diet, Calling Out Fake Rawfoodists. She's actually being interviewed by this Dr. Eduardo Carrasa. His story is pretty interesting. He says that he used to be a competitive Counter-Strike player. He got sick doing this, obese and all these other problems, and ultimately went raw vegan, lots of fruit, got healthier. It says doctor on his website. He says he's a nutritionist. It's always iffy with these kind of raw food alternative med people, exactly what their qualifications are. In any event, he does seem like a really nice guy.
Sugar water. So it actually has 4 tablespoons of sugar in it, and just like a handful of frozen berries and some lime juice squeezed in there. It's really delicious. So I'll start the day with that, and before I go for a jog or do some exercise, I actually just went for a jog. I'll have some sugar water before I go, and I might have some sugar water when I come back.
So in addition to the 4 tablespoon sugar water, or she's still like sipping on that? Oh my gosh. Oh.
7 bananas, and I'll add a couple of tablespoons of sugar and some berries. I kind of avoid the rice because I do find it is a bit it slows the digestion, quite a bit compared to some other grains. That's what I've discovered, like the white rice, especially because it's, refined and it doesn't have the fiber. But then the rice fiber is potentially a problem as well. So I kind of just stay away from that.
I don't know. If you find just plain white rice a problem for your digestion, what's the most likely thing when you're eating such a restricted diet? Maybe it's because you're eating such a restricted diet. It makes it harder to eat other foods, or maybe you have to get more used to eating other foods. She's assuming that means that rice isn't good. I think it's more likely that she's just eaten a really weird diet for such a long time.
I probably have about 180 grams of sugar, refined sugar.
How many tablespoons? What, it's about 15? I don't know why I'm going to my phone. I can use the calculator on the computer, but okay. 12 tablespoons of added sugar a day. And it's not even like fun. It's not from candy bars and delicious stuff. It's just from straight sugar, lemonade type thing and added to juice. Man, I don't know. I can't help but feel like, bro, that's sad. Why would you do that to yourself?
The fruit is very depleted these days. They picked the fruit too early. The soil has been severely depleted. That's part of the reason I'm growing it myself, right? That is part of the reason. But I find even adding extra sugar, extra sucrose is very hydrating, increases the energy.
So kind of 2 things there, that fruit is worse. The implication is that eating sugar helps or is replacing something that is lost in fruit these days, and also that sugar is hydrating. I'll start with that one. Glucose is hydrating. I'm not so sure about fructose. I don't know if there's a lot of research evidence on that, but yeah, glucose can help with rehydration. But this is for certain instances, right? If you are an athlete, and I don't mean you work out for an hour a day, I mean you're like a marathon runner. Yeah, a sports drink type of thing with glucose and electrolytes can be very, very helpful. There are certain illnesses that can cause severe dehydration. Same sort of thing. But there's no reason to think the average person needs sugar to stay hydrated. They just need water. And Freelee's not the average person. She's eating so much water in her food all day long, eating all the fruits that she eats. Yeah, I don't know why she thinks she would need sugar water for hydration. And then the fruit being worse today. That is true. I mean, you can find several studies that show a decline in certain nutrients, mostly due to improvements in yield and size of fruits and vegetables, wheat, increase in carbohydrate, aka sugar, in the food. That's right. The issue with nutrient decline is not sugar or lack of sugar, it's micronutrients. It's a decline in vitamin C, vitamin B, iron, calcium. Sugar is not going to help with the depletion of iron or calcium or any important nutrient because sugar is just sugar.
It's been amazing.
That's a cute little smile she did. That's so cute.
Now Americans are eating actually quite a bit less sugar. And guess what is still going up really rapidly? Diabetes, type 2 diabetes.
Is it? This is really funny timing because I just read an article from Health Nerd. He's on Medium. He's an epidemiologist about diabetes rates falling for the last decade or so. He talks about the complexity of determining like rates of a disease, the difference between incidence and prevalence. Depending on what you're looking at, you can say that diabetes is rising or it's falling. And he basically says looking at new cases of diabetes, yeah, it does seem to be falling. That's not to say diabetes is not a concern. He makes that clear. It's mostly an issue of obesity and old age, not any one specific diet. Going by the evidence we have now, of course, obesity is heavily linked to diet and, of course, linked to added sugar. The point is, whether diabetes is on the rise or is on the decline doesn't mean it has anything to do with sugar. It doesn't matter if you see a correlation there because it's just a correlation. What's the popular example? Ice cream and drowning, right? You see a perfect positive correlation between ice cream consumption and drowning. The ice cream's causing the drowning? No, of course not. It's that more people are consuming ice cream and swimming at the same time in the summertime. So yeah, I could say, well, diabetes rates are actually declining and sugar consumption is declining. So Freelee's wrong. Like, sugar clearly causes diabetes. No, that would be just as wrong as what she said. Anyway, definitely check out Health Nerd. That article is behind a paywall. Not all of his stuff is. I love Medium. I think it's very reasonable. It's like $5 a month. So yeah, I highly recommend his stuff. Very, very good communicator. Talks about, you know, these bogus nutrition claims and vaccines. Anyway, let's get back to Freelee.
And another interesting point, Gambia, the African country Gambia, actually has, I think it's number 2 or number 3 in the world for sugar consumption. It's massive. They eat a lot of sugar. And they actually have one of the lowest rates of diabetes. Them and one other country, lowest rates of diabetes in the world, type 2 diabetes in the world. So
exactly my reaction. Okay, it's a correlation. Speaking of correlation, France eats significantly less sugar than we do, yet they have significantly lower rates of diabetes. Again, you can make comparisons like this all day long, cherry picking whatever countries you want to make whatever point you want, either that sugar doesn't cause diabetes or that it does. It's nonsense either way. Anyway, I talked more about sugar and diabetes in the last video, so let's move on. Oh, I like this next part. I actually agree with this next part.
That 80-10-10 book was the Bible, the Raw Bible. And I still recommend it today. It is amazing. I have my own books, of course, but, you know, he definitely helped form my beliefs. And also, I just like the fact that he was more science-based. You know, there was people like Matt Monarch and David Wolf. You know, I just felt like these guys are in it for the money, you know. These guys are in it for the money. And with Doug, he didn't have any supplements to push on me or anything like that. He just had his one book at that time, and I was like, "Damn, this is the truth. This is amazing."
I do agree with that. Of course, I'm no fan of Doug Graham, but he was different in that way. And there are a few others as well who were not constantly pushing supplements and superfoods like Matt Monarch and Angela Stokes with Raw Food World. Is that what their website was? And of course, David Wolf, his 18 octaves of the sun. What was it?
Chocolate lines up planetarily with the sun. Chocolate is an octave of sun energy. In fact, it's the energy of the center of the sun. It's a male energy that comes down off the sun, and it actually, out of all the plants, the cacao is right on line target at the center of the sun, which we call in our body the heart. And actually, cacao is right up with the center of the sun, which is the center of the heart, which is called the sacred heart.
Yeah, I would say a lot of the big raw food people were selling more than just a book or two. I can see how that would be more convincing. I mean, it was for me. Again, I used to be a fan of all this stuff. I used to be a fan of Doug Graham. I owned 80-10-10. I met the man in person. I went to somewhere in Ohio for a talk that he gave. I was a true believer. Oh, and I met Matt Monarch and Angela Stokes as well. That was actually in Memphis or near Memphis. And yeah, I was just in someone's house. Matt was exactly how he is or used to be in videos, very fast talking and very much a marketer. And he talked about his previous job, which was some sort of marketing with like MTV or something. Like, yeah, of course. Again, even though I was like crazy Rawfoodist, I didn't believe in like any of that stuff. I was just interested, and he's just like back to back the colonic stuff and the wheatgrass juice. I think they were even making some in the kitchen or something. And like, he was just constantly promoting supplement after supplement after supplement. And I don't know, man, it was overwhelming.
Some proponents of raw foodism were they seem like crooks, like I couldn't, like
They are. I'm happy to drop names too. Lou Corona, fraud.
Damn, hell yeah, get it.
He came to Brazil saying that fruit causes cancer if you eat more than 3 pieces of fruit per day in a lecture here in Brazil.
There was a big anti-fruit thing in the raw food movement, and that was the big thing, that it actually causes cancer, that the sugar feeds the cancer. Yeah, that was a big thing for a while, which really, I think, gave more credence possibly to the low-fat, high-fruit people, because I think most people hearing that would go, that is so stupid. And then you have like us going, yeah, it is stupid. Fruit's obviously good for you, So I wonder how many people were led over to the equally crazy side, right? Low fat, high fruit, because of claims like that from the, supplement superfood pushers. I don't know.
This is something that people do need to realize. Yes, it does not come with the fiber. It does not come with certain micronutrients. But humans are sugar miners. We are after the sucrose. This is the most important part of the fruit, is the sugar.
Oh my God. I mean, she's right in terms of like survival, right? It used to be that way. Yes, like you needed the calories first and foremost. If you don't get calories, you're going to starve. But obviously we're in a different situation now, in different environment, and we have different problems. But yeah, sugar miner. I mean, come on. That's great. It's still not lamp oil. Like, that's top tier, but I don't know. Sugar miner's pretty good.
Okay, like it's created in the plant through photosynthesis, and it's basically you're eating edible, it's edible sunshine.
Wouldn't edible sunshine have vitamin D? That's the main thing, right? That sun gives us. I mean, our body still converts it, but yeah, wouldn't edible sunshine have vitamin D?
It blows my mind how much fat people think they can eat and actually maintain health. Like, the species is going crazy when it comes to the amount of fat they're eating, and it's causing a lot of problems, causing a whole lot of issues, because in nature we wouldn't have, in the equatorial regions, we wouldn't have actually secured that much fat. It's a seasonal thing.
That's probably true for the most part. And when we look at the other great apes, they tend to eat a lot less fat than we do as a, total percentage of calories. And figuring out what we evolved to eat, I think, is useful information, but it's not the only information. It's not the end of the story by any means. There are plenty of things that we did or consumed or lacked during our evolution that aren't ideal, right? And it's why we want studies. It's why we want to study these things to see what's actually beneficial and what's detrimental. And according to studies, fat is good. Certain types of fat, unsaturated fat, is really good. And there's basically no evidence suggesting that there's a cap on it, that we should limit polyunsaturated, monounsaturated fat, other than calorie consumption, right? Which is individual. Like when we're talking about sugar and calorie consumption, obesity, that is much less individual because most people who eat lots of sugar are overweight. They're not Freelee, right? The vast majority are overweight. We don't see the same with nuts and seeds and even oils like olive oil. So it is more individual. Like certainly if someone is eating lots of nuts and seeds, lots of oils, and they are overweight and, you know, a significant percentage of their calories are coming from those, then yeah, it makes sense to cut back on the fat.
You know, we're meant to eat food. If we're not like feeling like eating, like if we don't have an appetite, absolutely don't, then I think, yeah, I think fasting makes sense. But if the brain is still, the infinitely wise brain is still asking for food, then us overriding that desire for food doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
I don't get that. Infinitely wise. Our brain, our bodies are pretty silly. I've talked about this before. I think I have an old video talking about this. Pica. You know, there are so many cases of people craving non-food items because of nutrient deficiencies, namely iron. If your brain were so infinitely wise, wouldn't it make you crave foods containing iron? Ice, that is a very common thing. When I've been iron deficient, I love chewing on ice. It is like delicious. It's the most satisfying thing. That's not giving me iron. It's not helping at all.
I've known people to do 30-day fasts and they had the poop that they started at the fast still in the colon.
Or they lied about fasting. I mean, again, which is more likely, that they still had poop 30 days later, having eaten nothing for those 30 days, or that they were sneaking food? Come on.
I am so lazy with B12. Like I think I should have more B12 because yeah, I don't think I'm particularly high in it, but I am a little bit lazy when it comes to taking the supplement. I was doing the injections. I was doing it, but then and I was doing that for like 10 years or more. But then I started to feel like, oh, I just don't like that it's like bypassing, you know, going straight into the bloodstream.
So I do appreciate that she actually explains why she's made a change and she's no longer doing the injection, which was always so weird to me. I never understood why she and Durian Rider were so obsessed with getting injections instead of just taking a sublingual, which is very effective for the vast majority of people. That will help you increase your B12 levels if you're deficient, as well as maintain them. So, yeah, that's good that she's no longer doing that, which is weird and really a waste of resources too.
I used to follow, you know, the natural hygiene perspective
Not supplementing anything.
of like not supplementing B12, you know, if you have like a perfect diet and lifestyle, blah, blah, blah. When I was 12 years of living this lifestyle, I had a like severe B12 deficiency. I couldn't digest anything. I started like, you know, not digesting well, like a banana or lettuce. And then in a while I was seeing myself only eating watermelons because it was the only thing that I didn't have like terrible stomachache. It was like, you know, like it was like the food crossing my stomach and it was like so hurting.
I was B12 deficient when I was raw because I didn't supplement for, it actually wasn't that long. I mean, for him, you know, 12 years until he started experiencing symptoms, I think is what he said. It was only a couple years for me. I don't know time, but no, I mean, I wasn't raw for anywhere close to 12 years, but I didn't eat a lot of meat before I went raw. So I probably already was lower on the lower end of B12 when I went raw. But yeah, I thought I didn't have any symptoms. I finally did get tested. I got a serum and a urinary methylmalonic acid test, and the serum was high, the serum was low, the methylmalonic was high, which is like, yeah, you have a B12 deficiency. So I started supplementing, and I did have digestive issues not really, I don't know. It seemed to be like he says watermelon helped him. Watermelon was a huge issue for me. Grapes were a huge issue for me. That's really interesting. I wonder if that was linked to the deficiency, or it could just be trying to eat like 5 pounds of grapes in a sitting. Yeah, maybe that's going to cause some issues.
And for those who don't understand what sucrose is, it's glucose and fructose, fruit sugar together. These two molecules, and they make sucrose. It's a disaccharide. It's two sugar molecules, and it breaks down into glucose and fructose in your body. It's the perfect fuel.
Yes, so perfect. Look at all that nutrition. Final thing, I know this is kind of long at this point, but I do want to comment on another comment someone left about Freelee's teeth. Freelee saw a dentist a couple of years ago. Her mouth health was awful. She had to have teeth pulled, had to have a multi-session deep scaling as her gums were severely infected. She had major health issues afterward, which she blamed the dentist and or oral surgeon for, but she refused to expound on what those issues were or whether she saw any physician for these issues. Now imagine having all of that dental work and then drinking fruit juice with added sugar, drinking sugar water every day, and eating ripened fruit. I think her immune system must have been super overtaxed. So I wanted to comment on this because I was like, what? And I went down to the replies and someone said, yeah, she did a vlog about this. So I went and I watched the vlog. It's a few years old. I have some thoughts because I don't fully agree with this comment. I think it's being a little unnecessarily harsh toward Freelee. So first, I didn't see her say anything about having teeth pulled, but yeah, according to her, she went in for, I don't think she says deep scaling, but by the sounds of it, that's what it was.
So it's been years and years since I went to the dentist, and I'm like, yeah, maybe I have to go and check them out, right? And so I've been researching a bit, things that I could get done and everything like that. And I did see, cleaning, getting a deep clean, that sort of thing. And I went to this dentist and that's what he recommended. He recommended a deep clean. And I had done a bit of research on it. I'm like, it's a bit rough. Maybe it's a bit rough, but it's been years.
The commenter is right. She doesn't really go into detail about what was wrong with her teeth. She just says that they did this super deep cleaning, deep scaling where they actually go under the gums and they use anesthesia because it can be very, very painful and takes much longer than just your typical cleaning. This person is sounding like, oh, she's just blaming the dentist and the oral surgeon. Like, really, that's bullshit. It was just because she eats a shit diet, but the issues she talks about, it sounds like her oral surgeon / dentist fucked up. So what she says is that she had her whole mouth, again, she has not been to the dentist in years, obviously has some gum disease or something going on. They do it all in one go and numb her whole mouth. She said she thinks it was like 12 injections.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like 6 here and 6 here. And before long, of course, I couldn't feel my face, all right? And I've been to dentists, I know the numbing effect and all that, and that's fine. But this actually went up to my eyeballs. This numbing effect went up to my eyeballs, and I started to feel it even in my brain. This weird sensation. It's just too hard to describe. I'm sure you can kind of get what I mean. Like this tingling kind of very uncomfortable feeling.
Of course, she's feeling terrible and scared. And at one point she feels pain and the guy's like, let's give you more numbing. And she's like, oh my God, no. And then afterward, she had all of these issues with like waking up, bolting upright in the middle of the night. One thing she says specifically is chomping, like just involuntarily chomping her teeth.
Extremely scary. And one of the most scary things was this involuntary jaw clenching but smashing together. My upper and lower jaw were smashing together. I thought I was going to break my teeth.
I actually have a loved one who was put on medication, and that was one of the symptoms. That was the main reason why they got off of the medication, because it caused them to do that, to chomp, which kind of sounds funny, but holy shit, that's so scary, right? You're just hanging out and then your teeth and it's not just like a little, it's like a full-on bite down. Like, what if your tongue's in the way? It sounds like she really did have a terrible experience, and it was not because she eats sugar.
And, I was messaging the dentist, and he's like, oh, I've never seen this before, and like, this is basically your fault. This is your fault.
I know she's lied in the past, but just based on my own experience with dentists in particular, and again, these certain issues she's had that I've heard from other people, it does sound very believable to me that that's what happened. Again, I agree she is very closeted about what really led her to the dentist, other than not going to the dentist for a long time. Although I will say, again, I've had a lot of dental experiences. I have had more than 20 cavities in my life. I have paid thousands of dollars for my teeth that look like shit because I spent many years not taking care of them. And yes, this was also when I was eating a fruit diet and having lots and lots of sugar on my teeth. But honestly, I think the main issue for me, and I would imagine the main issue for her, is not going to the dentist. I also did not floss for, I want to say, maybe like 3 years. I just did not floss, did not use fluoridated toothpaste either. I finally went to the dentist. I didn't have any pain or anything, which is the problem. A lot of times you have cavities and like severe issues and you don't have any pain. So I went to the dentist. This was, I don't even know how long ago, 15 years ago maybe at this point, and had cavities everywhere. Had to have them all filled, bunch of money. Didn't learn my lesson, literally did the same thing, not quite as bad. I did start brushing regularly, mostly. I still was not flossing regularly, like maybe once or twice a week, and stopped going to the dentist again. So it was another, I think, few years of not going to the dentist. And then finally, once I had my first kid and I was like, I need to start taking care of myself, I went to the dentist again here in Portland and had several more cavities. So many cavities, and I had not been eating any sort of fruit diet for years at that point, but still same situation. So many cavities. Fool me once. That doesn't make sense in this context, but it took me 2 times, but I finally learned brushing twice a day. You know what? Makes sense. Flossing once a day makes sense. Seeing the dentist every 6 months makes sense. And you know what? I haven't had a single tooth issue in 6 years, I think. That's when I had all my last fillings done. My teeth have been fine. As much as I would love to blame Freelee's diet for her teeth, I suspect it has more to do with not using fluoridated toothpaste, not brushing consistently, not flossing consistently, and not going to the dentist. You need to have a professional clean your teeth every 6 months. Not defending the sugar water, and I'm sure any dentist or hygienist will tell you, like, oh, please stop that. Whether your teeth are in good shape or not, like, please don't do that. That's just my 2 cents. We should always try to listen to people carefully, especially when it's someone that maybe we aren't a huge fan of. Yeah, it sounds like what Freelee went through is awful. Whether she caused it or not by not taking care of her teeth, we need better medical professionals. This was in Australia, I assume, so I guess dentists are just terrible everywhere. Bad situation all around is what it sounds like. Hopefully she's learned from this and will take better care of her teeth. Anyway, that's it, guys. I am done. I'm done talking about Freelee for a long, long time, hopefully. I mean, what else is there to say at this point? But the bread thing, I had to comment on it. Yeah, I hope you guys are doing well. I hope you're having a beautiful April. We've had just the most perfect week, weather and flowers blooming. It's just been so lovely. Oh my gosh, I love Portland in the spring. It is one of the most beautiful places in the spring, I swear. Not that I've been many places in this world. It's nice to like the place you live in, right? Thank you so much, guys. Please do like and subscribe. Please do let me know your thoughts on all of this. And yeah, thank you so much, of course, to all of my supporters here on YouTube and on Patreon, patreon.com/unnaturalvegan. I do post 2 exclusive videos a month for tier 2 members and patrons. I do a vlog, which I just posted for this month, and then I do a controversial, just whatever I want to talk about. Last month, I think, was Blake Lively. That was last month. The month before that was restorative justice in schools. So yeah, it's just a mix of, I've talked about Blippi before. I've talked about, oh my gosh, so many different things. Yeah. Thanks again, guys. New video soon.